We're here at Irvine City Hall, and it seems like there's a lot of people here that are wanting to make their voices heard. So we'll go out here and check it out and see what people have to say. Let's see. Oh, it seems like we just lost it all. I like your outfit.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm with the Let's Learn from This podcast.
Sure.
I'm the Unapologetic Democrat. That's
right.
all. That's my other handle. This is Niles. I just wanted to ask if you're down to ask you some questions.
Sure, yeah.
So what's your name?
I'm Joshua.
Josh?
Well, Sam, though. Really,
Sam. So what are you here for today?
Oh, just to let out some of the energy that gets pent up when you're sitting at home and reading the news and freaking out and pacing back and forth and sort of scaring your cats because you're freaking out.
There you go.
So I decided to come here instead so my cats can have a break from me.
Yeah, I'm here also to give my wife a break. So
I get it.
Keep the kid at home.
Yeah.
So are you local over here?
I live in Anaheim, so it's not too far.
Anaheim?
It's about
Okay.
a 20-minute drive.
Okay, cool. I'm from La Habra.
Oh, okay.
Niles from Diamond Bar.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, dang. So you're even Easter.
Yeah, we came a little bit far, or for him.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah. So, what is most important to you that's going on right now?
Oh, it's really hard to say because there's been such an onslaught towards, everything that we find, very important to us as Americans. My biggest focus has always just been the pernicious influence of money in politics and seeing billionaires continuously attack the system and co-opt our symbols and use them against us.
Yes.
They buy politicians. They can buy presidencies now because they have $500 billion in
the richest
value.
man in the world.
The richest
going
man in the
after it.
world was able to purchase the presidency and adopt the presidency as his position.
Yeah.
And it's sickening to see this happen. And it's an influence that is present, it is present in both. Obviously, Republicans are all compromised.
Yeah.
Democrats, though, you do have to keep your eye out
100%.
because they will take the same money. The same influences seep into every single crack in the political system. And, and I hate to see it. I personally, I grew up in wealth. I live in an insane property. It's ridiculous.
Awesome.
I still live with my grandpa. We have a pool, a jacuzzi, a tennis court, a greenhouse, an elevator, a wine cellar. It honestly pisses me off because I go to our family business and I see the people that are actually working and I ask myself, like, how is this okay?
What do they do, if you don't mind me asking?
My family, we run waste businesses, recycling, electronic recycling, that type of thing. Funny enough, though, my grandpa could not care less about the environment or anything like that. It's very funny.
It just so happens
I've
he's
spoken
in
to
that.
all of the CEOs of, I've even met the former CEO of Waste Management, and none of them even care at all.
They're
do
just
not
in it for the money?
They're completely in it for the money. It's kind of sickening to hear them. I've heard them discuss to one another. I don't know why they let me behind the doors, but they discuss one another when the LA fires happened. I heard them conspiring to use the emergency as a method to expand the size of the dumps, the landfills, to use emergency powers so that they could get more land. And they were just talking to one another about this plan where they could just use the deaths of 17 people and the destruction of 12,000 structures to help themselves.
That's insane.
And it's really disgusting to hear.
Yeah.
And they call me a bottom feeder. They call me a parasite. And I just look at them and I'm like, I don't know how this makes sense to you. I think it might be the other way around.
Yeah. We got to make our money, but we got to,
100%.
we got to do what's right, Although I am a Democrat, I do believe on holding everybody accountable.
Yeah.
There's no such thing of, your side versus our side. It's all of us. We're all Americans.
Exactly.
And, we need to hold each other accountable.
I believe in working. If you can work, but you should make the money that you work for. You know what I mean? The fact that it goes to where I live and we don't use any of the stuff at the house, it's falling apart because there's only like 3 people living there. And I wonder, how his employees, what do they live like? I know for a fact they struggle.
Yeah.
Every single day they struggle. They live paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm blessed in a way, but I also feel like I have a duty now that I've benefited from such a practice.
Yeah.
You know.
No, 100%. See, my mom was corporate with AT&T. My dad played professional baseball.
Oh, nice.
But before, there was a lot of zeros at the end of the check, so he played in 70s. But we're just like, you know, middle class people. I'm a blue collar guy. I'm an electrician in the IBEW.
I respect that.
Yeah, so I build all kind of infrastructure. When you're talking about waste, I build a power plant in Brea for the landfill. So a lot of times they're like, oh, this is so good, but really they're just all there to make money.
100%. Yeah, they really are. It's always behind the doors that they say these things out loud, but it's really disgusting how they speak of the people who give them their wealth, how they think of the people that are actually producing that wealth and allowing them to live such a lifestyle, and they just seem to completely disregard and fight any regulation that would mean that their employees get an increase in pay or more protections. They think it's stupid, they think it's dumb, they think the government is bullshit, and they get mad. And I'm just thinking, what the hell? You know, you have vacation homes in Hawaii, Catalina. My uncle has a $3 million lake house in Arrowhead on the golf course. And my question to him, I've asked him directly, when is it enough? When are you going to stop complaining about taxation when you have a $3 million second home? Yeah. It's disgusting. It really, it boggles my mind, and I don't know how to exactly understand it, except that it's greed. It's
100%.
Greed on its face and lack of consideration, because they don't have to be exposed to normal people. They're in their insular little bubble, and they never speak to normal people, and so they don't develop consideration for them. They don't think about them.
So with Elon Musk, you were saying how he's using his money, and he's doing it all over the world, specifically recently in Germany.
Yes, yeah, we've seen him support the AfD in Germany. He's a big fan of Nazi symbolism, as we've seen for the past over a decade. We know for a fact, of course, he comes from South America, an emerald mining family. You can infer, based on the facts available to you, exactly what's going on, and just because he has the ability to plausibly deny, you know, in a way, like, I didn't necessarily say I love Hitler, like, you can tell based on the things we've seen over the last decade that, my friend, you are the enemy. You hate people. You want absolute domination. And I'm pretty sure he wants to be the first trillionaire. 100%. And he'll do anything to get there, because nobody loves him. He just loves his money, and that's the only thing that comforts him at night, because his children are not going to be happy with him.
His son seems very evil, the one that he carries
the little
around.
Booger boy?
Yeah, the Booger boy.
Yeah, I'm concerned about that. Like I said, you grow up in this insular little bubble. You don't see the outside, and you turn into kind of a monster. I fought my entire life to try to avoid getting sent to places like Mater Dei or Servite, because I know the influence of being in that sort of environment, and I know the type of man I am, and I know that, like, I can turn into that. I know that that's possible, and I need to actively work towards being exposed to regular people. So I started, you know, switched from private school to middle school in 4th grade.
There you go.
And I stayed there ever since. I went to public community college, public high school, public middle school. And now I do go to a private law school. There you go. Because they offered me money. What can I say?
That's, you know, that's gonna benefit you down into the future. You know a lot, so it's really good that we caught you out here.
Oh, thank you.
My dad is a Republican, but he's a never Trumper, anti-MAGA. And my mom is a big-time liberal, so
that's always interesting.
You know what's crazy is my dad's like, "Oh, did you see CNN?" I'm like, "What?"
Hey,
like of all the things you watch,
that is out there.
I try to stay away from like mainstream media and get a lot of my information from influencers on like
I'm an
YouTube.
alternative media guy too.
There you go.
I'm a Sam Cedar guy, big time.
Oh, okay, cool.
Sam Cedar and Associates.
Yeah, I listen to Brian Tyler Cohen and Glenn Kirshner. I like getting it from people that are educated.
They know their stuff.
Yeah, and they also call out the other side when they are doing something that they shouldn't be doing.
Exactly, and that's what I love, is that it's consistency, right? You can't just turn a blind eye to your own people, because you have to make sure that your side is clean. That our hands are washed, that we are the good guys actually. You know, and it's good to call people out. I'll give an example. You know, the opposition to the State of the Union was delivered by an Alyssa Slotkin, and during her campaign, she claimed not to take corporate PAC money, and, you know, technically, she didn't directly take corporate PAC money. She took PAC money from leadership PACs that are run by other political leaders, and they would donate from those PACs, which took corporate PAC money, and send it to her campaigns. And so it's this like loophole.
Political money laundering.
Yeah, it's a loophole that they try to deny, but
Uh-huh.
you have to keep an eye on them because, like I said, the influence is very strong. And
Yeah.
we've seen creators, like content creators, go from being relative liberal or leftist, and you see that as they become more successful, there's this influence of money that turns them slowly to the right, and you see creators become more right-wing once that money starts to flow in, and so you should always be calling that sort of thing out.
To me, a good example of that would be Joe Rogan.
Yeah, that's so weird.
Isn't it?
So weird.
I used to listen to him all the time. I used to work third shift, so there's like, nobody around. Just have that, earpiece in, listening to him, and then all of a sudden when he got that Spotify deal, even before COVID, things started like totally changing.
Yup.
And even my wife, she was a big JRE fan, and we're like, you know what, this is something's starting to change. I think it's the money.
Yeah.
Then COVID hit, and he became a COVID denier, and and he usually would go off of the facts, and now it's just like totally whatever he really thinks is what's the truth to him.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And now he's interviewing just random billionaires. And I saw, I don't know the billionaire's name, but yesterday I saw a clip of him interviewing this billionaire that was complaining about the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And he was just saying, they're dumb, they try to attack financial tech, and they hate financial tech, and they hate innovation. And Joe Rogan was just like, whoa. Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. That's crazy. I never thought about it. And it's like, dude, you have a job. You have a responsibility. You're the foremost podcaster in the country.
Yeah. Oh, hi.
Hi.
Can you shake his hand?
Oh.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
It's fine.
So with like Elon Musk's son, I have a son, and he doesn't just like say whatever he wants. So I saw in the video that he was talking about how they could do whatever they want now that they have the SpaceX.
Yep.
And what I'm getting at is there's been a lot of evidence of them directly saying like, oh, we stole the election, they gave it to us. Do you think that the last election had any meddling, especially like specifically with Musk?
Well, it depends on how you define meddling, right? Because I don't think you should be allowed to donate $50 million a month to a political candidate for president. So in my mind, that just is meddling.
Yeah, 100%.
Even though it's ostensibly legal, it is very obviously bribery. It's very obviously purchasing an election.
Yeah.
And I hate to see it. And it happens all the way down to even local school board elections. You'll just see random money coming out of the right-wing, you see think tanks, you see right-wing rich people, and the money there's so much that they can just distribute it everywhere, whereas sort of on the left, it's like a little less.
Yeah.
You don't have so much access.
Or at least it's not, covered as much.
Exactly.
We would never know unless we're really digging into the books.
That's true.
I think in Australia they put limitations on money. It's like $15,000 is the max that they could do, or even less. I'm not. I don't remember the exact figures, but I think that we should take after them.
Agreed. I think there should be either public financing for campaigns, just a set amount. You do what you can with this and see who comes out, or a lower limit on political campaign contributions, and no PACs, no workarounds, you can't just make a PAC they make these organizations that will help the campaign but not directly donate to the campaign, and so you can spend an unlimited amount of money from whatever source on those organizations, and it's very obviously meddling. It's blatantly meddling. It's just legal because that's our system.
Yeah, that's what they allowed it to be.
And it's disgusting.
In a capitalist
and I'll
country.
say, I got to tag along with my grandfather several places, including a Dianne Feinstein dinner or fundraiser or whatever, and he told me explicitly, and I thought she was quite corrupt.
Yes.
I think she was very corrupt. She said, my grandma said, we're giving her $5,000, and we have this policy. We need it passed. Quid pro quo. It's an exchange of favors, and it's really disappointing to see that, especially from Democratic leaders who are supposed to be more stand-up.
Yeah. No, 100% I agree. Yeah. Well, is there anything else you'd like to say? Just to finish it off?
Well, I don't think billionaires should exist.
No, not at all. I totally agree.
At all. It's really ridiculous. If we're allowed to use our money as an extension of our free speech, then it doesn't make sense that such wealth inequality exists, because then it's an implicit recognition that some people have more free speech than others, and that doesn't make any sense to me. It seems like a paradox.
Yeah, I totally.
So that's that. Get money out of politics, and billionaires.
I want to find somebody that's loud over here.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Hi.
We're this is Randy and my name's Niles. We're with Let's Learn From This podcast. We're just starting out. Just wanted to see if you guys wanted to interview, get your thoughts on the whole Elon Musk, Donald Trump debacle that's going on right now.
Okay.
You guys interested?
You guys wanna be interviewed?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have some special beef with Elon Musk now since he can I like touch it? Okay,
Yeah,
here
go
we
ahead.
go. Thank
That's
you.
fine.
Cheers. So basically, I had now my country, Poland, they have like a big beef with Elon Musk right now because
Right.
of the recent comments on X.
Right.
I don't know whether you've seen this spat.
I have.
You have.
Yeah.
It was like a spat with Polish Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski. Apparently, Elon Musk started some sort of a weird sentencing that if he turned off Starlink provider, like him being the provider, then Ukraine would have already lost the war. Polish foreign minister responded with, well, I'm sorry, but we're the ones spending millions of dollars every year for Ukraine so that they could have some Starlinks in Ukraine.
Right.
And Elon Musk reacted with, you stay silent, you little man.
Yeah.
I mean, that said, I think that tells you pretty much everything you need to know about Elon Musk and what kind of man he is.
Right.
We're Poland, we're standing with Ukraine. Regardless of any historical differences we might have, regardless of some economic interests, that we have different interests, we are different nations after all. But in those fundamentals, we are united. Poland stands with Ukraine. It has and it will. And the guys like Elon Musk, they will become a thing of the past. And indicted quickly, I hope.
Right. Right. What part of Poland are you from?
I'm from central Poland.
Central Poland. Okay.
Like if you were to take a car from Warsaw and drive towards, let's just say southwest, then you would get to my home.
Okay.
Within an hour drive. I know. I'm a kilometer guy. I know nothing about miles, inches, and all that. So
Right,
I can only operate with
Right.
kilometers. Really.
Now, are you a student here, or do you?
I am like a partner, to my wife. Like
Gotcha.
she's a student at UCI here.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
I'm serving her for emotional support.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm really happy that she's doing fine. And but with that being said, she did have a lot of let's just say objections about continuing to study here because of the current situation.
Right.
Because how can you feel good in a place that constantly tries to get rid of you?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And when Biden was in power, that kind of stuff wasn't really a thing. And
Right.
then all of a sudden Trump came to power, and you see what's going on.
He's making it worse, way worse.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
how do you guys feel about the Department of Education being taken away from our country, right now? Like Trump is trying to take away the Department of Education. So how do you think that affects your wife's schooling with student loans, and is that kind of a scary thing, or is that like something concerning with you guys?
It absolutely is, because
Okay.
when we talk about education, my wife, she has a big problem right now because she's a student at UCI,
Right.
and she would receive her scholarships and all of the financial support thanks to grants from
Right.
the federal government. And now, because of the decision of Trump to suspend all of the funding of the universities until further notice, now the future has become uncertain. And I do not blame her for seriously considering quitting, because if the funding goes out the window, then you gotta make a living here. Like you have to pay for rent, you have to somehow support yourself. And I'm sorry, but you can't do that. For example, in my wife's case, you cannot do it on Ukrainian hryvnias because the conversion rate from her currency to dollars is pretty brutal.
Right.
Not
right,
to
right.
mention that the salaries in Ukraine are 10 times less than here in America.
Right, right.
So that would be a catastrophe for her, and I'm sure for other American like U.S. national students as well. Because just because somebody is a non-U.S. Doesn't mean that. No, I'm sorry. I'll put it differently. Not every U.S. national has enough money to study for universities because tuition fees are
Right.
pretty expensive,
Right.
unfortunately.
Okay.
So yeah, it affects it big time.
Right. Definitely. Okay.
Look at Putin's puppet sign. Some pause for democracy, no Doge. That's awesome.
What's up, guys? Yeah, we're just here protesting fascism and trying to save democracy where we can, because autocracy just takes days to establish and democracy takes years. That's why we're out here. Once you get enough people, it really starts to make a change. Just like the revolution in Egypt in 2010. I mean, there's so many cases across the world where protesting can really make a difference.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. It's really cool, like, seeing so many people out here. I've never really been to a protest like this. I used to live in Huntington Beach, and there used to be just MAGA people every weekend, and it would be tough to just go surfing out there, you know, because people just be harassing you. I don't know if you've seen, like, Dear Kelly, like Channel 5.
Oh, yeah, I love Andrew.
Yeah,
I love it.
there you go.
This is just like a bit of a funny story, but I actually was like a frequent like visitor, at least, of these protests, and you know, at least I also do know of, at least we also had like a guy like Chris, you know, at least like showed up, you know, and yeah, we actually like so we're basically like a UCI college STEM, so we actually like invited him, you know, to at least like one of our meetings. I connected him, you know, during these protests, and
nice.
we got him over to at least like you know, to speak, you know, because we care, you know, essentially a lot about representing, you know, like student like interest, because, you know, one thing that you often see is that none people, you know, like care, essentially like are interested in, you know, hear about the interests of at least of students. And so our main job is to see like, okay, look, this is going to affect our generation. We're going to be ones that are essentially going to suffer, you know, the effects, you know, as like that's the young, you know, the young people. And so we want to at least like get our voices out there. So we're just growing, expanding. We're just like doing essentially a lot of outreach, and we want to do what we can to at least making sure we become at least successful. We have been active for at least a while, but now we're bringing it back, and so we're making sure at least we don't repeat the same as like last time, and we're going to strike again with full force.
There you go. That's great. It's really good hearing you guys so passionate, you know. Are you guys students? You're all at UCI, you were saying?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And what is your major?
So to start off, mine is political science, social policy, history, and literary journalism. So
wow, you got a lot going on.
But yeah, let's pass it on to
I study poli-sci.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm a fourth year. We're all actually seniors at UCI.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, I'm also fourth year. I'm a political science and international studies double major.
Oh, nice. You guys have it going on right now.
Yeah.
So, did you meet Chris? You said you got in touch with him and everything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So what happened was what happened was that during like last week, you know, last Sunday, he was like one of the speakers at least there, and so, you know, when the meeting was over, you know, I connected, you know, with him and say, hey, I'm with UCI College STEMs. We would love to have you come by. We would love to help you out because, you know, we want to do all the outreach, and so you know, we connected back and forth, you know, for email. You know, I told the rest of the board, and it was like, sure, and we got ourselves like a good turnout. You know, there was like a bit of like a pizza party, you know, from like a very good, you know, it's like friend of ours, and yeah, it was actually like very successful, and we're looking forward to at least like working with him and working for anyone else interested in you know, helping us out, because, you know, UCI is a very important place, very important demographic to maintain, you know, like a lot of students, you know, and so we want to at least like represent their voices, and this is the best way to do so, you know, just like coming and showing up.
That's great. Go ahead.
We're trying to be a way to mobilize young voters and people who are looking for change, and I think democratic clubs within school system, colleges, is just really big because there's such a big demographic there that we could target. Yeah. Getting youth voters out there can really make a difference. So many people, look, just like, I mean, someone from California Young Dems the other day was just mentioning how we're probably the most important demographic right now. So I think we can make a real difference by at least getting involved on college campuses.
So how do you think we could do that by getting more organized? You know, like they have Turning Point USA, which is huge right now, and then Charlie Kirk. Do you see? Yeah, oh my God, I know. It really, yeah, exactly. Do you feel like we could do something that could counter what they're trying to do and have been working on like the past like 15, 20 years?
Personally, I feel like yes, we need to start getting more vocal and expressing our dissent with anything that's coming out of the federal government, because I feel like we've been really passive. I know there was that statement, for example, like Al Green, what he showed in Congress, like standing up, and even being censored.
He is.
He's a hero, and he got censored by the own Democratic Party, and that just makes you question, like, yo, like, what makes the Democratic Party sit back and just accept like Trump's rhetoric? And that's like the main question I have, because personally, as a first generation like American citizen, like it affects me deeply to hear that, oh, immigrants are doing this, immigrants are doing that. But at the same time, all immigrants I know pay taxes. All immigrants I know pay into a system where they don't get anything in return. All immigrants I know are working multiple jobs to try to help out other aspects of our city. And yet we still have this question where like immigrants are horrible, immigrants are criminals. And like in my stance, we need to be more stronger. We need to be more aggressive in how we give us stuff. Not to the point where we feed into this idea that, oh, we're communists, we're socialists, we're revolutionaries trying to destroy the country. No, we love our country. There's a reason why people are able to protest, and that's because we have the ability to in this country.
Yeah.
Everything that happened in America has happened through change by someone being that Karen or that extra person to constantly bug and pester the congressman, the state, the whole federal government to basically enact change. So without being these whiny, we need to go back to being whiny Democrats. In a sense,
100%.
yes. Yes, we need to go back to being whiny Democrats, but with an aggressive stance. Because Republicans can be whiny all they want, going on Fox News and scaring all these white people, specifically old white people. but let's just face the facts. We're all people here. We're all Americans, and no, we don't hate our country. We love it, but we will hate what's being done to it.
Oh, 100%. You got to hold them accountable. You can't stay quiet. No, staying quiet, nobody's going to change anything because they're going to think, oh, everybody's fine. We have them fooled, and let's just carry on with what we're doing.
I agree with him. I mean, how does the saying go? Immigrants, we get the job done.
Yes.
That's how I essentially go over to history, and so. And I also think this is a very important point, essentially, as he has mentioned, because I've actually served, at least as a bit of an organizer. I've worked essentially, especially for the climate movement. I work for Sunrise. I work for Fridays for Future. And we've done similar stuff, for at least the school strikes, at least a few years ago. And I will say that I actually do what this movement doing 50-51.
Yeah.
Very impressive. But at the same time, I also believe that yes, it's very important to go out there and demonstrate and at least strike. But I also think, that you simply just can't, strike forever. Eventually, for a movement to survive, you have to at least, adapt. You have to at least, think of, other, tactics on how to making sure to get your message across. And also win over the hearts and minds of at least the people. For example, do stuff like political advocacy work, establish essentially mutual aid, making sure to at least have a coalition of different people working together to essentially impose on legislation and to pressure essentially leaders to actually do something. Because I think one thing progressives, at least are struggling right now is how to essentially create a bit of organization, making sure to at least get our message across. Because don't get me wrong, we have essentially the ideas, we essentially have what it takes, to do this, but what we're lacking essentially is the organization to at least get all that stuff done, especially compared to what the far right has been doing for decades with all their big oil money and all of that, especially when it comes at least to messaging. Because you have as you said, Charlie Kirk, you have the Ben Shapiro's, you have Turning Point, you got Daily Wire, PragerU's, all media machines, and you have mainstream media who's essentially essentially now kowtowing to at least the right. They're essentially being more complacent out of these threats. But what do at least progressive have? Yes, we have channels like this, and I appreciate your efforts on that, but we need essentially a stronger machine. We essentially need some infrastructure to at least compete with at least of all of this, and that's what essentially I'm looking forward, to at least seeing. This is essentially what I want to see achieved. We need better, stronger organizing. We essentially need a bigger media machine. We need a plan for at least work essentially with Democrats to recognize that, hey, this is the plan to solve it, if not essentially take control of the party entirely. We don't only have to focus essentially on the short term, but at least with this, but also focus more on the long term, and only then can we at least get change done.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Where do you guys get your information? I'm sure it's not just from mainstream media.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for the most part, a lot of it for me personally is a lot of mainstream media, whether it's, it's sources that are trusted, whether it's NPR, Al Jazeera.
There you go.
Yeah, it's just
What about AP
sources.
News?
Yeah, AP News.
Yeah. What about for content creators? Do you watch anybody specifically?
Through social media?
YouTube?
Yeah, for me, I don't know about you guys, but for me personally, it's just a lot of politicians. Whether it's Bernie or
So you get it straight from them?
Yeah, usually. Okay. There's news sources too. There's some political. I'm not really into political podcasts as much as I should be. I'd like to in the future. I don't know if it's different for you. But.
For me, I'm kind of I get my news primarily from this one news source called Graham News.
Okay,
it's kind of
I've heard
this.
Of that.
It's this kind of shows you where the partisan
and where it's coming
levels.
from.
Exactly.
Andrew Callahan, he promotes that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I got that.
Yeah, my wife and I got to meet him. We went to the Dear Kelly screening in San San Diego.
No way.
Yeah, and then we all got COVID, so it came from there.
He's like, I know it was
Yeah, and we got to meet the main character guy. He was actually a super nice, really nice guy.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
but he's in his ways, and he's not going to change. I mean, at least I don't see it happening. Yeah, especially in Huntington Beach. You know, he had the biggest pull.
Oh,
Yeah.
of course he does. Yeah.
We got a big one over there.
There is, yeah. I was really shocked at how many people were here. We were talking about it as we were walking up, and I was like, this is great. It gave me goosebumps because it makes me so happy to see that people are so inspired
We get a lot of
to
fun
get out.
guests coming over. Like I said,
Yeah.
you know, we got like Chris over, like you know,
videos.
yeah, like from like last week, and we also essentially got ourselves like a few like members of city council that came by. You know, a lot of like organizers, a lot of like at least party insiders with at least progressive, at least like leanings.
Yeah.
And yeah, at least I also say that, you know, and at least, you know, for at least personally, I do actually watch myself at least, like I have like a mix, you know, like sure I at least watch like some mainstream stuff, you know, like the CNN, you know, and also kind of like, you know, like the NPR, the Al Jazeera stuff, and also like a bit of like conservative stuff because in order to like investigate to see essentially
That's what I was
the
going to
opposition is
ask.
doing.
Do you take information or the false information that they're trying to spread,
Yeah,
just so that you
like-
understand
like
what
I
they're
basically just,
taking
like,
in?
Yeah,
you know?
basically just like you're talking to a guy, and I will say this: that back when Tucker Carlson was on air, I would use every opportunity, like every night, to like see his show because even though I don't understand, even though I don't agree what he is saying, and I basically notice that all his stuff is saying is just pure garbage. I want to essentially understand his viewpoint and see about where essentially you know is coming from, because I do know that my opposition will just reiterate his points like over and over and at least over again. And also I also watch a lot of like you know like streamers essentially like on YouTube. I also do watch commentary channels essentially like a progressive like slant, you know. I do on that, and I also think it's something I essentially mentioned essentially like content creation because it's a very important field that I think that I think the Democratic Party has to at least like take advantage of because right now a lot of young people, you know, they don't get their news from like CNN, they don't get their news essentially from like ABC, CBS, NBC, or even the Fox, you know, they get their stuff for like YouTube, they get their stuff for like TikTok, you know, and I think one thing Democrats are struggling is, and what the Republicans have been taking advantage of, is the fact that they need to eventually like go invest essentially like in these progressive like content creators, get themselves essentially like this media machine and making sure operational because now Republicans, I mean, you saw how Trump essentially like won because he went essentially like the dude bro like all podcasts and all that type of stuff, and that's just like honestly insane. And so right now Democrats, what are you guys essentially like doing? You have like this whole like utter like alternative media space. You have like all these listeners, you know, who essentially you can do a lot of outreach, you can do a lot of collaborations with, but no, you don't want to essentially do that. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I think you simply just can't solve just getting another Joe Rogan because like a left-wing Joe Rogan, because simply you have to at least get yourself in the platform in the first place. And that's what I think right now they're essentially struggling with. And what I think essentially one of the first things that must be done if we want to save our democracy is to finally like take advantage of space, essentially collaborating with like content creators, like with progressive content creators, and simply making sure we get ourselves as like a victory there.
Yeah. Do you think like Midas Touch has just taken over Joe Rogan? Do you think that could be a vessel that we could use in order to start something that's comparable to Turning Point USA?
Personally, I do watch a lot of Midas Touch.
As do I.
Yeah, like literally, like that was like the one thing I was gonna say for like media. But definitely, I like the way that they kind of like they call out Republicans on exactly what they're calling out Democrats on.
Exactly.
So, like, watch it how ironic it is when they're like, "Oh, my party would never do that. My party is the party of like Christian rights, this and that, or something that, like completely out of like just like super party. Like it's not supposed to be partisan. Religion shouldn't be partisan.
Yeah, 100%.
At all. Like I'm like my family's Catholic, and like that shouldn't decide who like my candidate is. You know, it's like this far right Christian nationalism that's taken over. It's a grift, and then on top of that, like we mentioned, like Tucker Carlson used to be a Democratic like speaking point for like way in the past.
Oh really?
Yes.
I had no idea.
Ironically, he used to bring up a lot of like Democratic points in his past like news networks. But then, as soon as he got onto Fox, he started pushing this far-right agenda. And it just shows you how quick it is that these Republicans, they go back on their word, and they tell you what you want to hear, because you think that, oh, they're a businessman, they know how to run the economy. Oh, they have been involved with, they have a strong stance against this, so they'll be definitely good politicians. No, if they have a stronger stance on what they see, isn't that going to make them more individualized and make them only want to focus on that rather than focus on your issues as a constituent? They've been canceling town halls all over the country because they know they don't even want to respect the fact that they're a constituent to everybody. Regardless if you're Democrat or Republican, they're still so afraid to host these town halls and even be a voice for their people.
Yeah.
So what's the whole point? Like, exactly like as like media is touched, like always gets like right directly on point is that like Democrats, we need to be stronger, and on top of that, Republicans, we need to hold our Republicans accountable.
Yeah.
That's what we should do.
So where I'm from La Habra, and we finally voted out Michelle Steele.
Congrats.
I worked on the
Freaking
Derek
finally.
Trump
Congrats.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Awesome.
There we go.
Also, I'm an IBEW member. I'm a union electrician.
Oh, really?
So I
Nice.
was knocking on doors as well for Derek
yeah,
Tran.
yeah.
I didn't even get organized. I didn't go to a meeting. I just did it because I was like, we need to do something. My wife and I. So like Derek Tran, I was in his town hall, but he did one over the phone. He said somebody asked him like, why aren't you doing one in person? Well, he said that it's because Republicans are calling votes at any time and that they need to be there in order to put their vote in and make our voices heard as their representative. What do you think about that? Do you think that he should be able to come back home and talk to us face to face?
Personally, I say yes, because it's like the one thing that I feel like is disconnecting a lot of these politicians today is that it's not about community. It's starting to get more about partisan lines, and I feel like regardless, you should be able to come and face your constituents and tell them like, hey, speak to me about your problems, yell at me about your problems. If anything, I will approach you after the meeting and talk to you. Like for example, shout out Supervisor Sarmiento. He's he's somebody I look up to a lot because he's openly like had people yell at him. Like I think there was this one constituent who openly called out his son and kept kind of demonizing him for his like progressive like tendencies, and like in that moment he like stepped aside, like talked to that constituent and was like, tell me what's going on. And from there, the constituent apologized and told told Supervisor her own issues. And from there, they actually started to like address it, like take the
have
steps
dialogue together.
Exactly, and that's why I feel like definitely needs to be needed. So yes, Derek Tran, please come down. We need you.
Yeah.
We need you to talk to our constituents, because if not, like, what's the whole point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'll add on to that. Yeah. This might be. I'm just gonna say, but like I heard it the other night. But yeah, keep your local politicians accountable. They're supposed to be fighting for you and representing you, especially in the Republican Party. They often don't, because, as you can see today, it's really just about filling their own pockets. They're cutting funds and research that contribute to scientists and education, book bans. I mean, they're taking away from us and giving it to themselves. It's like, I mean, an oligarchy is a good way to put it, as Bernie's been saying, but keep the power up top and the money up top. That's what they're trying to do. But I mean, a lot of politicians out there aren't really for the people, so just hold them accountable.
Yeah, it seems like they're just trying to, keep a hold of their job and be able to use like the information that they're being given to benefit themselves, enrich themselves and their families and friends. You see these people just making a ton of money, and in my opinion, if you're a representative, I would like it like how it used to be, where you would represent your people, but then you would go back home and have a job that you would contribute to your community.
Great idea.
You know what I mean? Like, I want to have my representative come out with me on a job site and start running pipe and pulling wire, and then be able to tell them like, hey, like, you're our chosen leader, but you're not above us. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you were gonna say something.
Yeah. I mean, I was also want to at least know, like, out of it, especially like these valuable, at least like points. So first, we have to like recognize that apparently operating a government is different than operating a business.
Yes.
And the thing is that, so one thing is I also have like a few like leadership, like position. I'm actually kind of like I'm actually an ADEM, for my local district. I'm kind of like one of the delegates of the party, and all of us essentially we have had like a progressive slate, and all of us like won in the landslide. So that's at least good.
That's awesome.
And what I think essentially is the issue we're seeing essentially in the party is the fact that Democrats, especially like centrist Democrats, are essentially just being very complacent. Very simply like they're not really doing much to essentially like counteract essentially the actions of Trump, because mainly they're just like they're basically just like short-sighted, thinking about more preserving their own careers rather than simply just saving their own like democracy. And you do have progressive voices. You got like AOC, you got yourself like Jasmine Crockett, and people like up and down the ballot, but really they're not like the ones in charge, and that's simply just like the problem. Like how essentially the question is, how do you essentially making sure that the progressives are able to at least like succeed within the party when there's just like a lot of barriers at least like within the leadership that essentially kind of like stopping. And sure, people in my position, we're like trying to do our best to like reform essentially the party and think about how essentially do we get this at least like done. How do we essentially like the best way to at least get started and all this. And I mean, I just got a job now, so I'm asking myself these types of questions. And I would say, like again, we have to essentially like work. Progressives have to Democrats have to work on communicating with like progressive messaging, content creators, and also have to at least like work with organizing and all that. And only by then can we at least like get ourselves like something at least like done.
Yeah, people need to get out there. Like as I said, I'm just a union electrician, and my friend and I decided to start this because we were tired of people, sucking in the fake news, especially as a blue-collar guy. We had union members voting against their own interests, and it just blew my mind.
It's horrible.
I was like, we had the most pro-union president in our history. It was Joe Biden.
Yeah, he did great. He
did amazing.
Like all these, he had so many domestic policies that were great for unions,
especially like the PLA agreements. I benefited from that. Federal contracts. I did a lot of the EV car charger contracts at the federal building, and now they're going to be ripping them out and spending $1 billion to take away that electric vehicle infrastructure.
Yeah, I don't know how you can just say science is wrong and that climate change isn't a thing.
Yeah,
but whatever. I wanted to say one last thing. Trans rights matter, immigrants' rights matters, minority rights matter. I'm a white male. I have a privilege that many people don't have, and I don't think white males, like many of the Republican Party or just politicians in general, should be held above anyone else. All these people's rights matter, especially minorities, especially working class party. It's horrible that today we see get ripped apart through these executive orders. I just think if you really want to change, come out, get active, local politics, get involved, y'all. I don't know if anyone else has anything to add, but
build your coalitions,
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly, build your coalitions, build your media, basically work and pressure at least like the party, at least as you can, to making sure to at least like listen to the progressives, make you elevate essentially like the progressive movement, because like, the thing is that progressives are the future essentially of this country. They are the future who will save at least its democracy. And sure, we're actually getting ourselves, at least like a big crush, right now. There's a lot of opposition like against us, but you have to remember, you see, that history, they will remember us fondly, like we will essentially be vindicated. But as Franklin said, if you have a republic, you can keep it, if you have a republic. So we have to make sure, for as far as we still can, making sure we still have essentially this country, and still we have at least like a democracy left.
Yeah.
I don't know where essentially this nation's going, but stuff like this that gives me hope, and so we just got to keep forward. We got to keep fighting.
Yeah, it makes me really happy seeing, especially you guys out here, very, very educated and know your stuff. Thank you for talking with us. Just keep it up. You have anything else to say?
Thank you for having us. And if anybody is part of the SoCal area, I guess specifically in Orange County, follow College Democrats at UCI on Instagram.
Okay. Do you guys have any handles you want to shout yourself out?
Just College.
Because I would like to find you guys so we can talk again.
Yeah, College Democrats at UCI on Instagram.
Okay.
We like to get people involved, local internships, local protesting like this, but Davis might have something else.
Okay.
Also, follow my political account, David D. Garcia Official.
There you go. Nice.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so at least I got one. Okay, so actually I don't run like a similar like TikTok channel to you guys. Make sure you follow at least like at Plot to save democracy. I've been running that since to help out with making sure at least like young people recognize for the Harris campaign, and to making sure at least they get motivated to vote, and also show what's going on for Progressive Lens. It's a growing channel. I show at least support, and also make sure also to follow me. At least in Frank _Granite10 on Instagram. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was great, you guys. I hope we'll meet again. We'll be around. It was nice meeting you.